Thank you very much. First, I think you conflate religion with culture. I think that culture is the expression of one's rhythms and values as he applies to life. So when you say that the UK has many cultures, again, it's just the expression of how they relate to reality. I think that when we come to reality, reality has one baseline. There's no difference from a blood transfusion to a heart transplant, etc., etc. And people have notched ways of understanding reality. So cultural diplomacy would expand the stability or what the phenomena of how people live. And when they begin to see the shared points of it, it would allow them to relate better, that they all come from the same source of life's existence. And that's where cultural diplomacy begins to share and make people realize that even though structurally they may be different, in terms of the life energy and the rhythm of how they express their aspirations, it all comes from the same source. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent.
Thank you. I think the question assumes that diversity is an issue, is a problem, yes, rather than diversity being a strength, right? And I think that when we see countries that rely on sort of a monocultural or very sort of singular cultural experience, oftentimes actually they're the weakest or most susceptible to shocks, cultural, economic, etc. So I think we need to figure out how we turn diversity into a strength, and that inherently means that we have to question some of the precepts that we have about how we understand, you know, sort of the ways in which we create societies and cultures. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, just 1 minute, please.
Okay. The beauty of all of us here is that we're so diverse and come from different backgrounds, have wonderful individual stories that's inspirational. But what I champion is the ability that we all have. And one of those abilities is to breathe. Yes, we can all breathe together. We can all, what I champion is an innate capability that our bodies have to release the tension from within. When we learn it, we can do it. The children of today, they can learn it in their schools, but they need inspirational adults who are willing to lead by example, and not lead by example by putting each other down and destroying each other's cultures, but loving the culture that we have, because we all the diversity we have, because we can do physical things together.
Thank you. Yes, please. You can introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. My name is Anas Mohammed from Ghana. My question will go to the gentleman who just spoke. And then if there's any French or German here, they can also answer. For my readings, there's what the French call the culture of assimilation. And then you must be French, you must behave French. Even if you are black as me, you are coming from Ghana. If you want to be recognized, you must behave French, eat the way French eat French foods before you are considered to have arrived. And today I've heard about Britishness. I know about the Germans. Before you are giving...
Just question, please.
Yes. Before you are giving German citizenship, you must be German enough to be able to hold a German, citizenship. I would want to know from the Germans, the British, the French, why is it difficult for them to understand that not everybody can be like them? There are other people unlike them. Thank you very much.
You're absolutely right. Nobody needs to be like us. We are individual, just like you are individual, and the Asians are individual. But what we can all do is breathe. And the biggest inspirations are 5,000 Malawian children who are embracing what our natural bodies can do, and they will be inspirations. They can lead the world in how to break the trauma chains that we all have caused on each other.
Thank you. Your question is got a simple answer. You have a voice for your race, I have for mine. There is no discrimination in your voice. It's a unifying of your voice. Use that voice for the correct reason. And only then unify together with your hand. You'll have a beautiful speech.
I will come to the defense of the British and the Germans. Wherever you go and you want to partake of the country, it's important on cultural diplomacy to understand their culture so that you can be assimilated. Because for one reason or another, you have gone there for whatever reason that you want to partake of that. That's true for Saudi Arabia, that's true for EAU, or for Africa. You come to Africa, you want to understand Africa, and you want to be African, you must understand the norms and the culture of Africa. So it's nothing too difficult to ask. If you want to become a British citizen, you need to understand the British values and what they stand for. And I would say Britain, other than the American dream, I think it's a land of extreme opportunities where we have seen a lot of people excel in Britain, regardless of the fact that they come from Africa or from everywhere. I think Britain has sort of embraced a lot of cultures and religions, and it's something that must be celebrated and must be appreciated.
One thing I have to tell you, of course, as one of the lecturers of the Oxford University, we are teaching our students to be critical. But of course, if they waffle 10 minutes, they say, what you want to say in 10 minutes, it can be said in 3 minutes. The rest is a waffle. And the people hasn't got the 2 ears just to listen to you. Therefore, we have to condense it. If you want to say in 5 minutes, 1 minute can be done. Yes, please. Next one. Yes, please. 1 minute.
Related where you were talking about, what you think is the biggest problem why the English or the British community don't get together to fight for this? Why you think the British community? Because we have a lot of people from all over the world, a lot of culture, religions, and everything. Why England is not bigger and strong to fight for this problem, to kidnap, to let the people to continue to kidnap this? Because the priest was saying something so powerful. You know what is? When we want to fight for our respect, our values, and our family, we will do the best. Why the British community? Why you think why the British community had not been fighting for? Have all the BBC channels, have everything, money, powerful, have everything.
Sorry, fighting for what? Tell me.
Helping the babies, helping all of these crimes. Why?
Yeah.
What we are talking.
Well, I mean, as you know, last 14 years there was another government, and now which the Labour Party's come in, and we make sure something will be done about this. So give them a chance. As you know, yeah, go on.
This problem have centuries. This is not now. This have centuries and centuries. This, to be a slave had been happening for millions of years ago.
That is true. That is true. That is true. Yeah.
It's just to remember, evil is
But
always
obviously,
going to be there. That's the thing.
Give us some chance now. We make sure we participate and we intervene in this now, and inshallah, hopefully, we get some results. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Questions? Yes?
I just want to add one thing before this gentleman says. We talk about Britishness, yeah, and what does Britishness mean? I think we'll just talk about the British values, yeah? British values are 5. There's democracy, rule of law, respect and tolerance, and individual liberty. And I think every single culture believes in the same thing. And you said the reason why people don't do it, because they're not following those 5 principles. Because they're too busy, like I was mentioning, my own life. We've been made to live in a world where we worry about ourselves, individualism, whereas there's the people next to us, humanity, our neighbours, we don't know their own rights. So if we follow that and everyone follows this, we will all be British, as well as every other culture. There was one more question from here.
That's all right. Britishness, Britishness, right or wrong? Thank you.
I mean, as you said, British values are kind of international values, so I don't know what precisely makes them British. other than maybe that they're rooted in the sort of British historical tradition, which is fine. But I think this idea of British values, American values, French values is often more exclusionary than it is inclusive. And this idea of assimilation, as the gentleman said, oftentimes assimilation can be a way to keep people out. I mean, it doesn't matter how, what university I go to, etc. I will never be English. Not that I necessarily want to be, but the idea isn't that I will be accepted regardless of what, characteristics I have, is that I have to fit certain characteristics to be accepted. So I think we need to be very careful about how we talk about values and assimilation.
What's the Britishness?
Do I ask questions or I can?
Just what's the Britishness? You want to ask a question?
Okay, so basically I'm prepared to ask a question. I'm Ozamali Sandhu, I'm a practicing solicitor. We have very extensive and very detailed debate, discussions, panel lectures about the cultural diplomacy. So 2 challenges about the cultural diplomacy I want to ask the panelists if they can answer. One of that is many of the cultures, multicultures, they sometimes conflict with the national interest. So this is one of the biggest hinders of the cultural diplomacy when they comes to see some cultures go against the national interest. The second question is, when we are mixing so many cultures, because we do have some little and basic information of different cultures, but we do respect. Due to that, there are so many misinterpretations and misunderstandings about mixture of the cultures. So how you deal with these things? Thank you.
Very good. As quick as possible. There is no time there. Please.
Well, as you know, there's so many cultures in UK, and obviously Britain is trying to work with everyone. We have a brilliant community cohesion here, but as you say, there's so many of them, so the government is trying their best level. But as you know, last 14 years, obviously the Tory was there, but now the Labour Party is there, and we make sure we get the community cohesion more into getting together, and hopefully, let's see, give us a chance, and we will rectify it.
Thank you. You want to say something?
I want to answer that on behalf of our new government. When there is change and we're looking for a new direction, when you're taking over, I spoke yesterday about a bridge. The Labour Party now, that is our government, have not got all this funding to build a new bridge. They will repair the bridge and work with that. So look at your own mindsets to work and open with equality, diversity, inclusion, to repair the bridge so that we can all speak one language that counts under one world policy. Thank you.
Anybody else says? Yeah. Yes, of course.
Before you leave, I would like to just dispel a notion. Cultural diplomacy is not the silver bullet to solve all the problems of the world. Cultural diplomacy is literally a tool to expand the oxygen or the opportunity to see solutions forward, and you have to be creative. So there are going to be problems, but cultural diplomacy allows the less conflict way by raising awareness and harmonizing both sides towards a solution.
Anybody else? The last. Okay, 3 minutes. Does cultural diplomacy able to save the world problem? Mark, 3 minutes.
So as important, of course, as I think cultural diplomacy is, I think it's important that we don't forget how unimportant it is. It's really a small step in a much bigger process. So sometimes I get frustrated when I see, the terrible challenges of conflict, of war, of the spread of disease, global warming, etc., and I realize how small cultural diplomacy is. So on the one hand, I would answer your question in the grand scheme of things, it's very unimportant. On the other hand, I think it's incredibly urgent. And if we don't do the cultural diplomacy now, we have no chance. I think as quickly as possible, we need to get to the point of cooperating. We have to be working together. We don't have time for me to get to know your culture, you to get to know my culture, as nice as it is. So the point is, let's do it as we work together. Let's create cultural diplomacy initiatives that do promote civil rights, that do promote human rights, that do provide more access to information, more access to other issues that we want. Somebody mentioned Lauryn Hill before, who was actually one of my classmates in college at Columbia University. Lauryn Hill, you may know, a famous singer from the Fugees as well. Around the time I was starting the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy, she was starting the Refugee Project, which was her NGO. And Lauryn's way of looking at the world She said the main differences between human beings, according to her, wasn't race or ethnicity or gender or nationality, but it was access. Some people in the world have access to what they want and what they need. Some don't have access, whether it's access to human rights, civil rights, education, food, peace, etc. And I thought it was a very helpful way of looking at the world. Of course, it's very easy to be pessimistic. It's very easy to be sad. It's very easy to be skeptical. But if we look at it in terms of access, actually, I get more optimistic. It's really just a matter of getting the work done and making sure, okay, if there's a problem of access, how do we solve it? And we tackle it one challenge at a time. So I think, therefore, that's how I'd respond to your question. A very difficult question. Yes, it's important. Immediately do the culture diplomacy. Let's build the trust. Let's get working together. And then the journey really begins with the hard tasks of actually tackling these very complicated problems from so many different points of view. So that would be my response. It's urgent right away, but don't forget it's really a very small step in a much bigger process.
Now, if anybody else want to say anything else on a good or comment on our, we got 2 or 3 minutes. What's happened? You have been 2 days here, listening all. What you take? Just the one. Yes, please. Yes.
Oh, thanks.
Yes, please.
Yeah, well,
Comment what's happened and did you like it? Don't you like it?
it's been absolutely phenomenal.
Not improve?
No, it's been phenomenal, very inspiring. I'm so glad I came today. I apologise if you've already answered this, but I'm going to ask again so it's really clear. But what would you say, and this is to the gentleman in the middle, because I enjoyed you talking specifically, what is the most immediate thing that you are doing to counteract child trafficking or human trafficking? That's what I want to know.
Thank you.
And how can we help?
As I told you, I mean, we have freshly come into the government, yeah? And obviously, they committed £40 million towards the child trafficking. And obviously, we were obviously onto this, and now basically this rights come up and everything. So let's settle that down, and we'll make sure we speak to the government again to work on this further, and we make sure we get Dr. Ramsey to meet one of the minister who's in charge of that.
So, clarification, please. So, are you suggesting that because of the riots, you've stopped investing and investigating into child trafficking?
No. That's not it. What I'm trying to say is basically, as you know, everything's upside down due to the far rights all over the country, yeah? But I mean, now things are settling down, so they are working on it.
But you haven't done anything yet, is that the case?
No. They have already, which I said, they're going to commit £40 million. So they will commit more as soon as we sit down again. Obviously, the government sits down again. We will push them. We will lobby them.
Government done, but not enough. That's what I want to say, and I tell the minister, or I tell the prime minister, or the king as well, which I see them time to time. The brother knows. But therefore, what we want to say is different now. Anybody? Oh, okay. This is not a debate at the moment. I think we're going to finish it. What I would like to see. Anyone for the comment of bad or good? Just 1 minute, please.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay.
Mine goes to Mr. Mark.
Okay.
The first day we went to the museum, frankly, I didn't know he was the Mark I've been communicating with.
Yes.
You understand? I expected to see a giant Mark. You understand? So immediately I entered, he wasn't there. I just came. Then he was introduced as Mark. Then I went back to check my. Yes, to check my invitation letter to be sure that is the Mark who has been communicating with me. Frankly, I'm very much impressed. You and the team and all of you.
You enjoyed the conference.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
The way it was organized. I'm very much. Thank you very much.
Anybody else's comment on the mark? Good or not good? Anybody else's just to comment? Yes. Here you are. Yes, of course. It's very important. He's there and comment. Thank you, or you should improve.
I just want to say thank you, Mark, and all your team for opening our minds to all the different cultures that live within us, the challenges that we all face, and the wonderful, beautiful diversity that we have. We've led the world in coming together, sitting here, eating together, drinking together, commenting, collectively learning together, and isn't that how we are leading and inviting the other parts of the world to join the dynamic? So I thought it was a great, fantastic example of brilliant international leadership.
Thank you. Yes, Eric?
Just briefly, again, in regards to cultural diplomacy, I would encourage each and every one of you to have a personal conversation with Mark, because outside the theme is the organic processes and what we have to go through. And for those of us who've worked in the ICD, we know the pressure of working in Berlin to keep that German optimum perfection, and how he has been able to take it step to step. It's not been easy, but to say that at this particular time, nearly 40 to 45 former heads of state, been in the United Nations, been over in the African Union, traveled all over the world, set up an academy. I think that if you leave here, if he had a book, he'll be good. But if you leave here and you don't have a personal conversation with the individual to know how he's adjusted all that he's done to bring this kind of impact and hope, I think you'd have left here failing to get the real essence of how cultural diplomacy can be brought into reality. Thank you very much.
Now, I would like to request, a kind request for all. Okay, Martin. Yes. The last question, yes, please.
Okay, it's not a question. It's simply to say thank you for the work you're doing. I didn't know of it before. I know how to. I can see how I can develop my own initiatives that I'm working on, and tie it into it, and use the power of what you're already doing and align it, or not, but whatever, it's a great initiative, is really what I'm trying to say. And I look forward to sort of developing things and working out how to do that. Okay, so thank you very much.
Talking about Mark. Nothing else. Nothing else. You want to say Mark? Just Mark. Yeah? Okay. Please.
Mark, thank you so much for this opportunity. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself. The context and the depth of our speakers has been great. And also not just the seminars, but the after social aspect of it has absolutely been great. I would encourage delegates that will come, not just for the seminars only, but also engage in the after seminars, because it's also part of that cultural integration. Thank you so much for a great conference. It's been phenomenal.
Mark, I'd like to thank you as one of those females, for the lady that goes down and has to find that child and pull it out, to give me the opportunity to say we are having money. I am in the process myself to get these and work with Sheikh to do it with them, and we are doing it. And trust me, as a female that goes down there, we will not allow that a child, and Iraq going for a 9-year-old for a child. I stand for it. Thank you, Mark, for giving this, to give everybody a voice.
Yeah, Mark, thank you so much. It's really a great pleasure, obviously. I mean, I think yesterday and today you've been here, and I think it's fantastic. It's all nations here. What a beautiful community cohesion. And we're really grateful to everyone for coming here. So we're really grateful to you for Israel, to organising this such a wonderful event with Mark. And thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks for coming here.
Now, the last thing, please.
Let me break protocol. And I would like to thank my little daughter, 11-year-old.
Oh, lovely. Okay. Whoa, put your hand together. Put your hand together. Whoa. Make some noise. Now, the last thing. The last thing we want is a kindly, I would like, no, that's enough. Kindly, I would like get a stand-in evasion for the Mark. Everybody stand up. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark, for that. He's coming from Germany to doing for the people, for the work. Thank you, and thank you.